Marlin, the most powerful yet laziest demon king in history, is forced to step down from his throne to repay a massive debt. Escaping his responsibilities, he disappears into the Lumen continent, hiding his true powers and pretending to be just another loser. Over time, he becomes infamous as the town's top freeloader. Right now, our protagonist, Marlin Lucifer, is busy preparing his weekly report when a human army known as the Church Squad suddenly arrives and clashes with his demon soldiers outside the palace. To manage the situation, Marlin's younger sister Lilith heads to the battlefield. Using her dark charm magic, she confuses the enemy so badly they start attacking each other. But then, a human soldier with unshakable willpower walks through her spell completely unaffected. He charges straight at Lilith and, without wasting a second, completely overpowers her. That soldier is none other than Alice, the 233rd hero from the Land of Light. Shocked, Lilith realizes her spell failed because she's up against another girl. Switching tactics, she boldly flirts with Alice, whispering in her ear that she wants to add her to her figurine collection. But Alice wastes no time. She pulls out her sword, and the two engage in an all-out, intense battle. At first, Lilith gets the only hit in, thinking today's heroes are pretty average. But that triggers Alice, who unleashes the full power of her holy sword. Still underestimating her, Lilith strikes the sword with her dragon tendon hair, but in one slash, her hair is shredded. That alone shows just how dangerous the holy sword really is. Moments later, Alice pins Lilith down and magically binds her limbs. The human soldiers start cheering and celebrating their victory loudly. Their voices echo all the way to Marlin, who's still inside. That's when his patience snaps. He throws aside his paperwork and decides to deal with things personally. Meanwhile, Alice, now confident, wants to challenge the Demon King herself. She asks her squad leader, Grand Sage, for permission, but the Grand Sage insists he will eliminate the Demon King himself. After all, this is the one being who's killed countless human soldiers and heroes over the years, the one responsible for every failed crusade. He then reveals his trump card, a massive siege weapon that looks like a flying whale. The church has been building it for over 100 years. Proudly, the Grand Sage declares it the absolute peak of human wisdom and technology, the church's ultimate masterpiece. He releases the whale from the sky and orders it to destroy everything in its path. Alice tries to stop him, saying this step is way too extreme, but the Grand Sage is obsessed. He believes wiping out demons is the true purpose of a warrior. He activates the whale, and its mouth opens wide, firing a massive holy plasma beam at the demon army to completely obliterate them. But just then, Marlin appears in front of his soldiers and blocks the entire attack without a single scratch. He tosses his hair back and walks into the battlefield, landing directly on Alice's head. Total next-level disrespect. Lilith immediately hugs her brother, crying, telling him how horribly the humans treated her. Alice, still stuck under his legs, barely crawls out and starts yelling complaints, but Marlin completely ignores her and asks Lilith, "Who's that noisy one?" Lilith casually replies, "Just some trash-tier hero the kingdom sent to kill us." Marlin speeds over to Alice, looks at her cute face, gives a small smile, and sends her flying into the air with just a flick of his finger. Sarcastically, he mutters that the Land of Light really needs to be more careful when choosing heroes. At this point, he doesn't even need to unsheath his sword. As he watches the whale flying overhead, he thinks, this might be the only thing that could numb the pain of my curse for at least 2 days. The Grand Sage steps forward and says he's here to take revenge for the humiliation from the last crusade. But Marlin doesn't even remember the guy or the event. The sage tries reminding him he was the only survivor from their last fight, and considers that his life's greatest achievement. Marlin finally starts to recall and says, "Oh, you're the coward who pissed himself and begged me to spare your life, promising to help me get humans as tribute to boost my Demon King performance, right?" Every hero and soldier around is shocked. They can't believe their leader stooped so low and was planning to betray them. The Grand Sage immediately denies it, calls Marlin a liar, and, in desperation, gathers all the soldiers' magical energy and transfers it to the whale, boosting its power 1,000-fold. But even now, Marlin doesn't consider it a threat. Before the whale can attack, Marlin draws his dark blade, and with just one slash, annihilates the entire thing. The sage's entire plan crumbles. Defeated, the old man drops to his knees again, clings to Marlin's feet, and starts begging for his life, blaming everything on Alice. Just then, a bell rings from the castle. It's a reminder that today is the weekly meeting of the 7 Demon Kings, and Marlin still hasn't submitted his report. Realizing this, his brain short-circuits. He panics, pulls his hair, and dashes back to the castle, leaving the stunned enemies behind, speechless that the most dangerous Demon King in the world is terrified of paperwork. Alice tries to stop him mid-run, saying the battle isn't over, but Marlin wipes out the entire human army with a single sword slash. Alice barely survived. Back at the castle, Marlin joins the Demon King's meeting. Everyone already knows he's made zero progress in developing the Land of Darkness. He tries to justify himself, saying he fought a human army, destroyed a flying whale, and that he has been working. But no one cares. They only want numbers and revenue. Running a palace takes money, not dead bodies. The other Demon Kings show off their contribution, and it becomes painfully clear that Marlin's done nothing. They mock him brutally, cut his budget for next week, and ultimately call him the most useless Demon King in history. Finally, Marlin snaps. He reminds them he's killed millions, saved the first palace alone, and protected them all for years. Something none of them could do. But they still don't agree. One even pulls out a long list of all the destruction Marlin's caused. 168 palace demolitions, 31,000 broken battlefield pipelines, countless damages leading to their salaries being cut. And the final blow? Marlin currently owes the kingdom 66 trillion. This is why, despite being the strongest demon king ever, he was freaking out earlier. He can't escape and he can't resign. He has no choice but to keep working himself to death to pay off the debt. After this disaster of a meeting, Marlin decides to escape. Quietly, he tries sneaking out of the palace to run from his responsibility, but Lilith finds him. He reveals his grand plan. Once he leaves, everyone will realize how much they relied on him and come crawling back, begging him to return. He imagines his glorious comeback and starts giggling. Lilith thinks he got fired, but Marlin says no. He resigned to heal his cursed heart that shrinks day by day. He declares he will travel the world, find the strongest enemies, and end his curse once and for all. Lilith buys it for a second, but still doesn't want him to go. She knows her brother is totally useless at anything other than fighting. She tries stopping him again and again. Then Marlin finally reveals he owes 66 trillion. If he stays, he'll literally work himself to death. That changes Lilith's mind instantly. She tells him to go out, get a new job, and only come back once he's repaid every cent. Meanwhile, back on the battlefield, Alice is pretending to be dead to avoid getting noticed by Lilith, who's casually walking around. All the other soldiers are long gone. It's just Alice left. Eventually, Lilith does notice, and thinks she's actually dead. What a waste, she mutters. Such a pretty face. Gone too soon. She decides to take Alice's body back to the palace for her figurine collection. But lifting a fully armored body is way too much hassle, so she decides to just take the head instead. Right as she's about to attack, Alice suddenly moves and escapes. Lilith bursts out laughing. She knew all along that Alice was faking it, but now she's not in a playful mood anymore. She wants to teach Alice a lesson for making her look weak in front of her brother. Alice knows she doesn't stand a chance, so she turns and runs. Luckily for Lilith, she loves chase games, so she summons 2 demon wolves and orders them to hunt Alice down. Meanwhile, Marlin reaches the seashore. To leave the demon continent, he has to cross the demon sea. From afar, he spots some boats left behind by the Grand Sage's army. It feels like luck is finally on his side, but when he gets to the docks, he realizes all the boats are destroyed. That's when it hits him. His earlier massive sword slash must have accidentally obliterated them all. The real problem? Demons can't swim. He's stuck. Sure, he has one small boat, but there's no way it can make it across the entire sea. Back to Alice. She's still running for her life from the demon wolf. Faced with death, memories of her master flood in. How he always warned her she was too weak to survive against non-human warriors and wasn't ready to be a hero. But she didn't listen. She wanted fame. She believed she'd never find her dream prince if she stayed cooped up in the snowy barren mountain. Now for the first time, she realizes her master was right. This world is terrifying. She begs the gods for her life, promising that if she survives, she'll stay home and train properly. Somehow, she pulls herself together and defeats one of the wolves, only for the other to transform into its final form and completely crush her. On the brink of death, Alice cries, "I want to fall in love. I want kids. I can't die like this." That's when her savior drops from the sky. Marlin casually lands and turns the vicious demon wolf into an adorable puppy with a snap of his fingers. He looks at Alice and an evil idea forms in his head. He'll make her his slave to do all the manual work for free. He reminds her that he saved her twice now, so technically her life belongs to him. To repay her debt, she must become his servant. Before Alice can process what's happening, Marlin lifts her and throws her into his tiny boat. His plan? She's the paddle now. Alice once dreamed of defeating the evil demon king, earning glory, and marrying a handsome prince. But in reality, she's now rowing across the sea with a literal stick, while Marlin does nothing but stand there dramatically, like a proud statue. He tells her she should feel honored. Being his slave is basically a blessing. Alice mutters under her breath, "Yeah, what a blessing. No salary, no days off." She keeps paddling furiously, vowing that the moment they reach her homeland, she'll take revenge 1,000 times over for this humiliation. All the while, Marlin stands perfectly still, keeping his balance by anchoring one foot into the boat, which Alice eventually notices. As day turns to night, Alice is completely exhausted from rowing. Meanwhile, Marlin pulls out a portable stove and cooks himself a delicious, steaming hot meal. As he's cooking, he casually asks why she stopped rowing and declares her the most useless hero he's ever seen. Alice's patience has finally run out. She snaps and throws the paddle at him. "I quit." To calm her down, Marlin offers her food. At first, Alice refuses out of pride, but as her stomach growls loudly, she gives in and eats. The food is so good that she starts calling him master and breaks down in tears, admitting she has zero self-respect left. But the aroma from the food attracts demon sharks. Panicking, Alice jumps straight into Marlin's lap. Marlin just gives the sharks a mildly threatening glare, and they flee instantly. Alice is baffled. What the heck just happened? Marlin, of course, takes credit. "I'm the most dangerous creature in the entire sea. That's why they ran." Alice finds that hard to believe. She's heard rumors of an ancient sea monster lurking below, and secretly hopes they don't run into it. Then she tells Marlin that her army used to smear holy dragon poop on their ships to keep sea monsters away. That explains why her army smelled so awful. She goes on to say that holy dragon poop is actually more valuable than gold. But the real issue? that dragon mysteriously vanished. Marlin's eyes light up. If any of that is true, then he could sell that poop and pay off all his debts without lifting a finger. He pulls out a demon beast binding crystal and proudly reveals he owns that very holy dragon. He named it Buggy. His new plan: sell Buggy's poop, make tons of cash, and never leave the continent. But fate isn't kind. He slips. The crystal falls straight into the sea. Now it's gone, and Marlin still can't swim, so he has no choice but to go to the land of light with Alice. A little while later, the sea around them goes eerily quiet. Not a single fish in sight. Marlin senses something's wrong. Then it appears. The legendary sea monster. Marlin doesn't try to fight it. Instead, he calmly tells Alice that he can't swim. So now Alice takes the lead. She strikes the monster with her sword, but it doesn't even flinch. Worse, it gets angrier. Marlin, in his usual arrogance, tells the sea monster, "Become my new slave. Ferry me across." The monster spits at him in response. Then, it starts pulling in all the water around them, trying to swallow them whole. The boat is seconds from being crushed when Marlin finally draws his sword and slices the entire monster in half with one slash. He may be arrogant and lazy, but Alice now fully understands. Marlin is the most powerful being in existence. The rest of the journey goes smoothly, and soon they reach land. Marlin, who did nothing the entire trip, casually says, "Wow, that was exhausting." Alice calls out his hypocrisy, but Marlin proudly claims he contributed mentally. He gave instruction. Without him, they'd never have reached the shoreline. Now that they're on land, Marlin decides Alice is no longer useful, so he officially fires her. Alice yells, "I hope I never see your face again," and storms off in the opposite direction. But Marlin calls her back. He needs one more favor. He asks her to take off her armor. She refuses, so he just removes it himself. Not for pervy reasons. He's broke. He plans to sell the armor for cash. After all, he saved her life. He feels he deserves it. Then he ditches her at the shore and runs off with the armor. Back at the palace, Lilith is just chilling, totally confident her hopeless brother will crawl back once he realizes how cruel the outside world really is. Meanwhile, Alice returns to her city. No hero's welcome, no celebration. Instead, she's dragged straight to court. They pin the deaths of her entire unit on her. The judge declares that because of her incompetence, the entire squad sent to subjugate Marlin was wiped out. To make things worse, her family's generational mithril armor is missing. Her punishment? She's stripped of her knighthood and slapped with a fine of 50 million gold coins. Alice tries to defend herself, saying the Demon King took her armor, but no one's listening. The verdict was already decided. A year passes. Now, Alice is seen fighting two pirates on a ship, both ranked holy tier, one tier above her. They've taken the mayor's daughter hostage. Alice is trying to save her, but her fighting is so bad, the pirates literally start laughing in the middle of battle. Just as they're about to finish her off, someone drops from the sky. Both pirates are instantly crushed under his feet. The guy looks around, confused, wondering where the holy tier pirates are. Alice casually points out, "You're standing on them." It's Marlin, in human disguise. He'd heard rumors of holy tier pirates and came looking for them, hoping that defeating them might numb the pain of his curse. He draws his sword and, with one single slash, obliterates both pirates and Alice's backup fleet along with them. Alice, who still doesn't know his true identity, starts to wonder, could this mysterious hero be her romantic prince? She walks slowly toward him, trying to catch a glimpse of his face. But before she can get close, he flies away, just like Superman. A little later, a news reporter gives a live update, stating that the entire rescue fleet was destroyed by a mysterious criminal, now known across the nation as Nightblade. Before he can finish, a woman snatches the mic and blurts out her completely unnecessary opinion. She declares that Nightblade isn't a criminal, but a true hero who defeated the holy tier pirates. She says she's never seen such a graceful and powerful swordsman, and openly admits that she admires him. Meanwhile, Alice returns home and adds 250 more gold coins to her savings. She's excited. She now has a total of 10,000 coins. It finally feels like she's making some progress, until she remembers she still owes 50 million in debt. That's when the weight of her situation really hits her. In frustration, she curses Marlin for not only destroying her reputation, but also saddling her with such a massive debt. In a fit of rage, she slams her table, accidentally spilling water over her guild commission papers. When she takes another look at them, she notices a bounty poster offering 5,000 gold coins for someone freeloading in the southern region. The smug smile in the poster clearly belongs to Marlin. Alice is a bit suspicious, but she thinks, nah, no way the Demon King would stoop so low to freeloading. Before heading out, she kisses a picture of Nightblade's back and prays for him to bring her good luck, enough to pay off her debt. And at the same time, she angrily wishes Marlin would end up stuck with a debt 10 times worse than hers. Now, speaking of Marlin, in the past year, he's become a wanted criminal, but what hurts his ego most is that his bounty is only 5,000 gold coins. He's striking a dramatic pose when suddenly his stomach growls, pulling him back to reality. He complains that he had a grand plan, sell the mithril armor and become a millionaire, but he blew through all the money in just a few weeks. Since then, he's been freeloading and scamming, just to survive. As he nears a small town, some robbers stop him, but before they can even make demands, Marlin flips the script and demands their stuff instead. The robbers are confused, wondering if they've accidentally run into another robber. They demand his sword. Marlin warns them, if he draws his blade, their pathetic faces will be erased from existence. They laugh it off, thinking he's bluffing. One of them starts peeling an apple in a flashy way to show off his skill. The younger robber is impressed, but Marlin, the world's laziest legendary swordsman, isn't. To show them what real skill looks like, he tells the younger one to step aside, then slices the older one in half with a single slash. Turns out, the older robber was actually a goblin in disguise. Terrified, the younger one reveals his goblin identity too and runs for his life, dropping the apple, which Marlin happily eats before strolling into town. Meanwhile, the little goblin rushes back to report everything to the Goblin King. The king sees this as a direct violation of the peace treaty with humans, but that was his plan all along. He had already sent many goblins disguised as humans to provoke a conflict. Now that someone has fallen into the trap, the Goblin King orders his army to attack the human town, loot everything, and take the women and children as slaves. Back in Lilith's palace, she receives a letter from Marlin, claiming his life in the Land of Light is going great. He says he lives in a magnificent castle, served by hundreds of loyal followers. In reality, that castle is a tent, and the followers are just a dog. Marlin also writes that he's become super popular with the ladies, lining up for autograph. But the truth? Those women are bounty hunters trying to capture him. Still, he assures Lilith that she shouldn't worry. He's having fun and won't return until the other Demon Kings beg for him to come back with a formal apology. Lilith feels relieved, at least knowing her hopeless, useless brother isn't starving to death somewhere. Back in the town where Marlin was freeloading, he's already defeated the shop's hatchet. When the shopkeeper recognizes him, Marlin proudly reveals his gorgeous face, expecting to be acknowledged as the first Demon King's warrior and ruler of pride. But instead, the shopkeeper loudly shouts, "It's that freeloading guy from the south again!" The whole town comes after him, forcing Marlin to escape once more. On his way out, he meets a small boy who's impressed by his appearance. Marlin instinctively grabs his sword, and the boy thinks it's a performance. "If it's good, I'll pay you," he says. Marlin agrees to perform, but just before drawing his sword, he stops, afraid the boy might get hurt. Thinking he did well, he confidently demands at least 10 gold coins, but the kid calls him a scammer and tells him to get a real job. Insulted by a 12-year-old, Marlin finally snaps and throws the kid's ice cream to the ground. The boy yells, "You demon!" Marlin doesn't mind. After all, he is one. As he walks away, a carriage arrives. Alice steps out with her adventurer group. One teammate asks why her hero status was revoked. Just then, the man who bought Alice's armor from Marlin arrives, launching his new book, claiming the Demon King enslaved and tortured Alice, physically and mentally. Apparently, Marlin himself gave him this story when selling the armor. Alice is stunned. She tries to explain it's all fake, but one of the girls in her group says, everyone has a past they'd rather forget, clearly believing the book. Alice begs the author to stop selling that nonsense, only to find out the book has already sold 5 million copies. Depressed, she goes quiet. Later, the group discusses their next mission, to clear out goblin bandits from a nearby cave. But before heading out, one couple announces they're getting married, and this will be their last mission. Alice feels weird about it. In her experience, characters who talk about retirement usually die next. She tries to warn them, but they brush it off and leave anyway. Meanwhile, Marlin has just eaten an entire tavern menu and is quietly trying to sneak out, but he gets caught by the manager, Martha. Thinking quickly, he pretends he came to apply for a job. He calls himself a Royal Academy graduate and lists a bunch of fake skills, insisting he's never been in debt. Martha's unimpressed. To win her over, Marlin uses a special skill he learned from the ruler of lust, a disco dance. Finally, Martha agrees to hire him for 1 gold coin per shift, plus 15% commission on drink. Marlin, who was just pretending, now actually needs the job. Martha tells him he starts tonight, and that the cost of the food he just ate will be deducted from his first paycheck. Then she introduces him to her son Henry, the very same kid whose ice cream Marlin trashed earlier. This time, Henry can't insult Marlin because his mom is standing right there. Anyway, Marlin's shift is about to start in a few hours, so Henry shows him to the guest room. On the way, Marlin tries to fix things and says, "Let's forget the past. I'll teach you my ultimate blade strike, free of charge." But Henry rejects the offer and says, "You don't even know how to put on a proper show." He then proudly declares he has only one idol, Nightblade. Marlin lights up with joy and proudly reveals, "That's me. I am Nightblade." But Henry doesn't believe a word. He kicks him into the room and walks away. Meanwhile, the adventurer team that went to subdue the goblin bandits is now completely surrounded by the entire goblin army. The situation is so bad they don't know what to do. One girl is about to die, but her boyfriend strikes a deal with a goblin mage to save her. Back at the tavern, our new recruit Marlin is half working and half goofing off. Even though he's serving quickly, customers aren't satisfied. They want a traditional style waiter. But Marlin doesn't care. He straight up tells one customer, "You're lucky I'm serving you personally." Funny enough, he's only rude to male customers. When it comes to the ladies, he acts like a full-on gentleman, offering complimentary cake and performing like a movie star. He's literally stealing other guys' girlfriend. All the women in the tavern are swooning over him, while the male customers feel completely insecure. But Martha, the tavern owner, is thrilled. Her drink sales have skyrocketed, and she even calls Marlon her top performer. Marlon thinks, I should record this compliment and show it to those other demon kings who think I'm worthless. Martha tells him all the girls in town are talking about him, and says she wants to feature him in the local newspaper. Hearing this freaks Marlon out. If his face gets printed, his terrifying Demon King reputation will be ruined. To protect his image, he begs Martha not to go through with it, saying he wants to stay low profile. He even promises to serve every customer with full dedication. Martha melts at his charming voice, but her son Henry isn't having it. He doesn't want this freeloader becoming his stepdad. He warns Marlon that if he so much as touches his mom, he'll kill him. Marlon keeps up the sweet act, but inside, he's itching to slap this spoiled brat. Meanwhile, town guards are searching for the infamous freeloader. They hear Henry yelling while punching a tree. I'll teach that freeloader a lesson. Alice shows him the bounty poster of Marlon, but surprisingly, Henry doesn't recognize the evil grin. He tells Alice the guy in the poster works at his mom's tavern and has been charming girls into buying drink. Not only that, he's made half their yearly revenue in just a few days. At first, Alice doesn't think this could be the same person she's looking for, but the men of the village are desperate for someone to take him down. He's stealing their wives. They offer Alice a bag full of gold coins, and she accepts the job without a second thought. She arrives at the tavern, which is in total chaos. Women are screaming, clapping, and cheering, while Marlon dances dramatically in the center. His eyes are covered, but the grin on his face matches the one in the bounty photo exactly. Alice instantly confirms this is him, but she remembers from reports that this guy is quick to run away, so she slowly approaches him through the shadows. Just as she gets close, a spotlight lands on her, and Marlon notices. Obviously, he doesn't remember her worthless existence, and pulls her into a dance. But a moment later, he remembers she's that useless hero he turned into a slave a year ago. Alice realizes too. This charming waiter is none other than Demon King Marlon. She's completely shocked, but as the memory of how he ruined her life comes rushing back, she doesn't hesitate. She pulls out her sword and tries to stab his face repeatedly. But of course, Marlon dodges every strike easily and tries to calm her down. We're old acquaintances, he says. Alice fires back. I don't want that kind of acquaintance. I want revenge. Marlon knocks her down and sits on top of her, trying to reason with her. He brings up the good old days, when things weren't so bad between them. Tears start streaming down Alice's face. She sobs. Don't you feel any guilt? You left me like that on the beach. She blames him for everything, her suffering, her current state, and demands that if he's really a man, he should take responsibility. Now, her words could easily be misunderstood, and the women watching totally misinterpret them. They think Marlon took advantage of Alice and then abandoned her. Horrified by the idea, they storm out of the tavern. Marlon is beyond frustrated. He begs Alice to clear up the misunderstanding, but she just keeps crying and demands her armor back. The tavern is shut down because of all the drama. Martha, now emotionally crushed, assumes Alice is Marlon's girlfriend. With tears in her eyes, she tells Marlon, I love you, but please, clear all this up. Marlon has had enough. He tells Alice to stop crying. If anyone should be crying, it's him. He blames her for ruining the whole scene, messing up his performance, destroying his reputation, and worst of all, he didn't even get a tip. Alice still thinks she's doing the right thing. She says if he returns her armor, she'll leave him alone. Marlon is confused. Wasn't that armor a gift from her to thank him for saving her life multiple times? And even if he did take something from her, he believes it's justified. After all, the Land of Light has been exploiting the Land of Darkness for years. But Alice doesn't care. She just wants her armor back. If she returns it to the kingdom, they might forgive her 50 million gold coin debt. Sadly, Marlon tells her he already sold the armor for million and wasted all the gold. To him, the armor was just scrap metal. Alice still doesn't give up. She threatens to have him arrested if he doesn't return it. Hearing that, Marlon gives a villainous grin. He reminds her that he's the same guy who one-shot a sea monster and scared the kingdom's navy so badly they started loading dragon poop onto their ships. If you think anyone can arrest me, you're delusional, he says. Alice finally gets it. She drops her sword and tells him she's under a 50 million gold debt. Marlon is genuinely impressed. He's only borrowed a few thousand gold over the past year. How did she hit 5 million? But even now, he still doesn't understand that this is all his fault. Alice, heartbroken, finally explains everything. How the kingdom blamed her for losing the armor, how she had to join the Adventurers Guild, and how she took high-risk missions just to pay off the debt. Marlon, of course, ignores all the emotional stuff. Instead, he's curious about the Adventurers Guild. He asks if they really face high-reward, holy-tier enemies. He needs money and strong opponents, so this sounds perfect. He begs Alice to tell him how to become an adventurer. After learning the process, he gets hyped and asks her for a referral, since they're old friends. Alice has had enough. She just tells him, get lost. Meanwhile, Martha's son Henry. On the other side, Alice steps outside to cool off and wonders why this demon lord, who's now suddenly a dancer, wants to become an adventurer. She's also frustrated because now she knows she'll never get that 5,000 gold bounty. Catching Marlon is basically impossible. One thing is crystal clear to her. If she ever gets tangled up with this guy again, her life will get even more messed up. Her only remaining hope is her dream prince, Nightblade, who might be able to save her from this demon. As she's finishing her mental rant and looks around, she realizes houses nearby are on fire. And then, 2 massive goblins storm into the tavern. At first, Marlon thinks they're just more customers, so he greets them like a friendly host. But when the goblins announce that they're here to loot the place, Marlon wastes no time. He throws them out and quickly assures the guests that everything is under control. winning their hearts once again. Martha is shocked that goblins are invading the town this late at night. She's also terrified because her son Henry still hasn't come home. She rushes outside in a panic and tells Marlin to watch the tavern while she runs off. Now Marlin is left handling waves of goblins all on his own. Once he finishes off the last of them, he grabs his sword and rushes outside to help Martha, mainly because if something happens to her, he won't get paid. Martha almost reaches Henry, but just before she can get to him, goblins grab her and drag her away to turn her into a slave. Henry wants to help her, but fear paralyzes him. Deep down, he knows stepping out there would mean certain death. Meanwhile, Marlin casually strolls through the chaos, ignoring the goblins like they're an inconvenience. But the goblins keep making the same mistake. Every time they try to attack him, they get instantly wiped out. Alice confronts Marlin, suspecting that maybe he is the one behind this goblin attack. Marlin fires back sarcastically. Could a real hero be this dumb? He makes it clear he's a great demon king and would never team up with pathetic creatures like goblins. Fed up with her stupidity, he ignores her and walks away. Alice suggests they team up to save the town, but Marlin bluntly says, "I don't work for free. Give me 10,000 gold. Alice doesn't have any, especially since he is the reason she's 50 million in debt, so there's no way she can pay. Marlin shrugs and leaves. Left with no choice, Alice uses her ice magic to protect the town. At first she holds her own, but the goblins just keep coming. Then, the goblin mage makes her entrance and directly challenges Alice, warning her that not even an elite tier mage can defeat an entire army alone. Just then, a small goblin, one who had earlier fled in fear of Marlin, comes running back and informs the mage that the monster-like man on the other side of town, aka Marlin, wiped out half their warriors all by himself. The goblin mage uses her magic to spy on Marlin and realizes the terrifying truth. If Marlin and Alice team up, their whole army is doomed. She immediately orders a retreat. With a loud siren, all the goblins start fleeing town, but the villagers still aren't safe. Many of their loved ones have been taken, including parents, siblings, and children. Then a shady man shows up. He looks human, but seems like a goblin in disguise. He offers the villagers protection in exchange for 1,000 gold. Desperate, they believe he's a top-tier bodyguard and put all their faith in him. But he coldly tells them to forget the past, because by now, their families are probably already dead. Just then, another man appears, the same one who made the deal with the goblins and opened the town gates. He tries to explain that the goblins didn't kill anyone. They just enslaved them in their cave. The gatekeeper refuses to believe it, overcome with guilt, because he was the one who opened the gate. The townspeople surround him, call him a traitor, and are about to beat him. Even the shady man joins in, but Alice jumps in to stop it, explaining that the man only made the deal because he had no choice. She tells the crowd to stop pointing fingers and start picking up weapons. "Come with me," she says. "Let's go save our people." To prove she's trustworthy, she proudly announces, "I'm the 233rd ranked hero of this kingdom." But the crowd just becomes even more suspicious. They've heard rumors that she was once the demon king's slave. The shady man eggs them on, saying people like her can't be trusted and should be punished. He tries to incite them to beat her up in the name of revenge. Alice quickly realizes this guy is totally fake. She kicks him so hard he shuts up instantly. Then she turns back to the crowd and yells, "Don't be cowards. Come with me and fight." Still, no one moves, so she walks off on her own. Henry watches all this, calls the villagers cowards, and steps forward. He heads to the tavern to grab his dad's old sword. But on the way, he runs into two goblins who stayed behind in town. He tries to fight them, but loses. Luckily, Marlin shows up just in time. With an irritated sigh, he defeats the goblins and tells Henry, "It's late. Go to sleep." But Henry responds, "How can I sleep when my mom's been taken by goblins?" Marlin warns him not to play hero. "You're still too weak. If you act stupid, you'll either be killed or enslaved." But Henry stands firm. "Yeah, I'm weak, but Alice is going alone to save everyone. I may not be as strong as Nightblade, but I will save my mom." Hearing that, Marlin suddenly flashes back to a distant memory. He and his sister trying to protect their own mom years ago. That one flash of emotion shakes something deep inside him, and for the first time in his entire demonic life, he decides not to act like a devil. He pulls out his sword, looks at Henry and says, "You're lucky. You get to see the ruler of pride fight for a human." Then he heads toward the silent town. The goblins are gone, which means he'll have to find their hideout himself. Great. But then he hears a group of townspeople talking. They're planning to head to the goblin cave. Casually, Marlin offers, "Want me to lead you?" No one takes him seriously. To them, he's just that lazy freeloader from the tavern. Marlin insists he's a reliable warrior, but everyone laughs. They just think he's a dancer who flirts with girls. Henry defends him, telling everyone Marlin saved him from two goblins. Still, no one believes it. Marlin shrugs. Fine. Then Johnson's the leader. Meanwhile, in the goblin cave, the Goblin King is thrilled with the mage's successful raid. The mage smirks and says, "That was just the beginning. We can loot the town anytime now." The Goblin King begins to speak, but the mage cuts him off. "Villains who talk too much always die first," she says. She warns him about the two intruders who broke into the cave earlier. "They'll definitely be back," she says, confidently revealing that all the traps have been set. Soon after, Marlin and his crew arrive at the cave. Brave little Henry charges in without thinking, and accidentally activates a flame barrier trap. Marlin just casually walks into it too, because obviously, he doesn't care enough to dodge it. The Goblin Mage appears with her squad and commands them to surrender or be burned alive. Johnson instantly panics and begs Marlin to save them. Marlin walks right through the fire and says casually, "This is nothing. I've got magma under my house." The goblins start clapping for him. The mage gets overconfident, but then Marlin suddenly appears right behind her, smirking, and asks, "What's so funny?" The mage jumps, shocked. "Who are you?" she demands. And that simple question throws Marlin into an identity crisis. Is he a demon lord? A tavern waiter? A freeloader? A dancer? Saying he's the demon lord is risky. What if people find out that the ruler of all demons is working as a waiter in a cheap town? So he flashes a peace sign and says, "Name's Daisy, your friendly tavern waiter." Surprisingly, that doesn't work at all. The female goblins are grossed out, but the male goblins go absolutely crazy for him. The mage becomes serious. She doesn't feel any strong aura from him. She thinks he's just a lucky weakling. She draws her weapon to finish him off, but Marlin walks up slowly, gently grabs her hand, and says, "Please don't ruin your life. Or ours. Just hand over Martha." His sparkling eyes almost seduce her. Almost. She shakes it off and fires her ultimate fire spell at him. It doesn't burn a single hair. Marlin casually sneezes, and the sneeze reflects the entire spell, obliterating all the goblins in the room. Then he walks up to the mage, gently taps her cheek, and she's blasted out of the cave at light speed, straight into a mountain. As she vanishes, all the traps in the cave deactivate, and Marlin's team is finally free. As he walks deeper into the cave, the townspeople watch from behind and whisper, "Is that Nightblade?" Meanwhile, 2 stone golem goblins are guarding the hostages. Suddenly, the lights go out. Alice arrives, ready for action. She frees everyone, clears the path, and safely leads them out. But one massive threat still remains. The Goblin King finally rises from his throne after who knows how many years. Alice instantly feels his power and whispers, "This guy's holy tier. Even as an elite tier mage, I can't take him." Meanwhile, Marlin isn't fighting. He's lost, trying to navigate the confusing tunnels of the Goblin Cave. Despite being the ruler of pride, he's clearly lacking some brain cells. Alice, as usual, proves to be useless and ends up getting captured by the Goblin King. The king literally picks her up and tries to crush her bones, clearly enjoying her pain. He doesn't kill her instantly. He wants to take his time torturing her, but that turns out to be a mistake. Alice takes the tiniest opening and unleashes her ultimate move, Absolute Zero, hitting him with 3 massive war spikes and a giant ice lance straight to the gut. To her shock, the Goblin King instantly heals himself. Now serious, the Goblin King transforms into his true form and completely overpowers Alice. He breaks through her shield and knocks her across the room with a brutal punch. Elsewhere, the hostages run into Marlin, who finally finds Martha. Without delay, he says, "Pay me for this field job." Martha doesn't have time to argue. More goblins are coming, so she grabs his hand and pulls him to run. But Marlin doesn't like running. He prefers to walk, slow and cool. So instead, he slices all the goblins down in one swing. Martha finally realizes this guy is actually a great warrior. She desperately begs Marlin, "Please save Alice." She stayed behind to save everyone else. Marlin's red devil side says, "Why should I help that useless hero? She tried to stab me." But his kind blue devil side reminds him that they still need Alice to get into the Adventurers Guild. Martha jumps in and promises, "If you save her, I'll triple your salary." Marlin is offended. "I don't do things for money." He literally lives for money. Martha tells him Alice is still in the Goblin King's hall, which is stacked with gold coins, and the king is a holy tier. Suddenly, Marlin's eyes sparkle. He wants both, the money and the strong enemy. Without hesitation, he dashes into the cave. The girls left behind think, "Wow, he must really love Alice to risk his life like that." Marlin smashes through the joint gate and enters the hall to rescue Alice. The Goblin King, like any stereotypical villain, starts giving a long speech. Marlin completely ignores him and locks eyes on the treasure behind him. He literally pushes the king to the side so he can go claim the loot. The Goblin King is confused. Who is this guy just waltzing in and stealing all my treasure? Marlin tells him, "Shut up," then casually slices off the king's left hand and rescues Alice. Seeing Alice in such terrible shape, even Marlin feels a bit bad. He can't take her back like this. If Martha sees the damaged delivery, she might dock his pay. Even while in pain, Alice is still worried about others. But when Marlin assures her that everyone is safe, she finally passes out. He gently lays her down, then turns his attention to the regenerating Goblin King. The king's overconfidence is boring Marlin, but he still doesn't draw his sword. Instead, he gives the king a free shot. No matter how many times the Goblin King attacks, Marlin blocks everything effortlessly, without even looking. When the king demands to know who he is, Marlin sarcastically replies, "People this week don't deserve to know my real name. Just call me Daisy." The Goblin King can't take the insult. Enraged, he transforms into his final form and prepares to unleash his ultimate move. Marlin casually shrugs. "Sure, give it a shot. Maybe it'll extend your life by 15 or 20 days. Right before attacking, the king gives Marlin a final chance. "Surrender and become my subordinate." Marlin bursts out laughing. actually apologizing for not being able to stop laughing. Then, in the most dramatic tone ever, he declares, "No one in this world can match my aura or charisma. Even gods can't handle 1% of my glory. You're not even good enough to be food for my pet dragon." Infuriated, the Goblin King launches his ultimate move, but not at Marlin, at Alice. Marlin blocks it effortlessly with one hand. "Your holy tear? Please. My sister Lilith is way more powerful." Finally, out of patience, Marlin draws his legendary Vertex sword. The Goblin King realizes this is no ordinary man. This is the ruler of pride, but it's too late. Marlin vaporizes him in one single slash. The hit is so powerful, it destroys the statue behind the king, revealing another mountain of gold coins. Marlin, seeing this, imagines himself at the absolute peak of life. He's in literal dreamland, but his slash was too strong. It causes the entire mountain above the cave to start collapsing. Now he's got two options: save Alice, or grab the treasure. Surprisingly this time, his blue devil says, "Take the treasure." But his red devil says, "Save Alice. She's your ticket into the Adventurers Guild. More money, stronger enemies, long-term profit." Thinking of Martha's promise, Marlin picks up Alice and escapes the collapsing cave, but not before looking back at the treasure with tearful eyes. Outside, Henry praises Marlin for saving Alice, but Marlin's tears won't stop. Martha thinks he's crying out of sympathy for Alice's condition. Nope, those tears are for the gold he left behind. Back at the tavern, Marlin sits beside unconscious Alice, debating whether to heal her. Even this small favor feels like a burden. He grumbles, "I left a whole cave full of gold, and now I've got to fix this girl too? Just for a dumb recommendation?" Still, he decides to do it, but healing requires removing her armor first. Just as he starts doing that, Martha and her son walk into the room. Martha sees the scene and instantly assumes something romantic is about to happen. She rushes back out, flustered. Henry casually says, "You two can continue." Marlin, completely unaware of the misunderstanding, goes about his work. After removing her armor, he makes a soft romantic face, like he's about to kiss her, then suddenly pulls back and starts spitting all over her body. As gross as it sounds, his saliva has healing powers. It only works on the opposite gender. Within minutes, the room fills with spit bubbles, and all of Alice's injuries vanish. This is one of Marlin's ultimate technique. He vows never to use it for free again. Meanwhile, Alice slips into a dream, where she meets Nightblade. She mumbles in her sleep how handsome he is and how much she loves him. Marlin realizes that his healing method has a weird side effect: strange dream. He stays by her side the whole night, protecting her. The next morning, Alice wakes up and finds Marlin already gone. She meets the adventurer girl, who tells her everything that happened while she was unconscious. Alice is shocked to learn that Marlin saved her life. The adventurer girl says, "Fighting like that? Sounds like true love to me." But Alice insists, "Everyone's misunderstood. We're mortal enemies." No one takes her seriously. The adventurer group's guild commission is now complete, and they're leaving the town. Before departing, they all thank Alice. As they leave, the adventurer girl teases her. "We heard giggles coming from your room all night." Alice is stunned, especially when she realizes Marlin was with her the whole time, and she's not even wearing her clothes. Back in town, Marlin spots a crowd. A news reporter is there, covering the goblin battle. Johnson is bragging that he saved the village and defeated all the goblins by himself. But the moment he sees Marlin, he bolts. He knows he's about to get exposed. When the reporter asks Marlin for his thoughts on the goblin invasion, he casually replies, "Nothing major, just wave my hand," and they all flew away. The reporter turns to the camera and dramatically praises the miracle bravery of the villagers. Then she announces that she'll soon be interviewing former 233rd ranked hero, Alice, who's been on a legendary bad luck streak. Demon King, Pirate King, and now Goblin King have all captured her. Back at the tavern, Martha tells Marlin that Alice is looking for him. He assumes she's going to shower him with praise and thank him sincerely. Grinning, he walks into her room. But the second he steps in, Alice attacks him. Marlin is shocked. Why is she going crazy again? She says nothing, just yells that he's a perverted demon villain, and swings her sword. Marlin pins her to the wall and asks, "Why are you so aggressive? I literally saved your life. You should be thanking me." Alice accuses him of taking advantage of her while she was unconscious. Marlin is speechless and explains, "I just took off your armor so I could spit on you for healing, okay?" Alice doesn't believe it. She demands, "Then why did the adventurer girl hear laughing from our room all night?" Marlin reveals, "You were dreaming. You were literally mumbling, 'I love you, Nightblade,' in your sleep." Alice finally realizes the truth. Marlin scolds her for her overreaction. "And even after all this, I'm still forgiving you." Alice reluctantly says, "Thank you." Marlin pretends not to hear. "What was that? Say it again." Alice yells, "Thank you." Still not satisfied, he reminds her, "I gave up a cave full of gold for you. Now give me that Adventurer Guild recommendation." Alice agrees. Marlin quits his tavern job, says goodbye to his fangirls and aunties, and gives an emotional farewell to Martha and Henry. To Henry, he says, "Now you take care of your mom." Once everything's settled, Alice and Marlin get into a carriage. Marlin jokes, "Can you believe everyone thinks we're a couple?" Alice agrees, "As if. I'd never date a freeloader." The insult sparks a classic lover's quarrel, which continues for the entire journey. Meanwhile, The Goblin Mage, who somehow survived, learns that the Goblin King is dead. She plans to migrate south, to get as far away from Marlin as possible. But then, a mysterious woman emerges from the rubble. She reveals that she took the third Key to Hell Legion's treasure room, and then wipes out the Goblin Mage and all the remaining goblins on the spot, leaving no witnesses. Several hours later, Merlin and Alice finally arrive at the Adventurers Guild. Merlin makes a beeline straight for the notice board, looking for some quick money-making quest, but Alice grabs him by the collar and drags him over to the receptionist, Lou, introducing him properly. Lou smirks and asks, "Is he your boyfriend?" which immediately gets Alice all riled up again. She quickly flashes a wanted poster and says she's there to collect a bounty. Merlin is shocked, and Alice explains that no one with a criminal record can become an adventurer, so he needs to clear his debt first. She suggests that he become an adventurer under her sponsorship and work off his debt. Lou agrees but deducts all of Merlin's guild fees up front, handing him only 50 gold coins. Lou then tells Merlin how much Alice has sacrificed for him, making Merlin cringe and wish he had just turned himself in to the cops instead. Alice, angry, complains that she lost thousands of gold coins because of Merlin. He reminds her how many times he saved her life. The two of them start bickering again, while Lou starts prepping for Merlin's rank evaluation. Merlin wonders aloud what rank a Demon King would even get in this world. In this world, the lowest rank is Iron, then Silver, Gold, and at the top is Mithril, a rank given to the holy tier warriors. Merlin can't believe such lame people hold the highest rank and demands a superior tier. Laughing, Lou mentions there's a legendary rank above all, the Amethyst tier, reserved only for legend. Merlin grins and says, "Cool, I'll take that one. No need for a test." Lou assumes he's joking and doesn't take him seriously. Just then, a redhead named Hobbs, who knows Alice, overhears their conversation and steps in to see who she's brought along. Another guy, Arnold, also walks into the guild, but when he sees Alice with another guy, his heart shatters. He dramatically drops to his knees and begs Alice to marry him, bringing up old rejection. Alice bluntly tells him she's single and not romantically involved with Merlin, but Arnold flips out and challenges Merlin to a duel, right then and there. The winner gets the right to date Alice. Merlin couldn't care less, and forfeits before the duel even begins. He doesn't want to be anywhere near this overdramatic ex-hero. But Arnold takes this as an insult, thinking Merlin's mocking him. As a noble son, he can't accept charity from a commoner. He yells that he'll save Alice from this civil trash. Alice, fed up with the drama, punches Arnold square in the face and tells him to get a grip on reality. But Arnold ignores her, draws his sword, and charges at Merlin. Merlin, completely unbothered, casually flicks him with one finger and sends him crashing into the ceiling. Alice yells at Merlin for hitting him too hard, but also secretly enjoyed the small scuffle. Merlin ends up grabbing everyone's attention in the guild. People start wondering if he's as strong as someone from the elite tier. Merlin takes that as an insult and nearly pulls out his Vux sword in rage, demanding to know who dared compare him to such useless elites. Alice quickly calms him down before he nukes the entire city and explains that Hobbs actually meant it as a compliment, since elite tiers are rare in their guild. Still grumbling, Merlin declares he'll personally raise the guild's level himself. Suddenly, a serious-looking man with a dark vibe walks in, Lord Clot. He tells Merlin to move aside. Merlin doesn't care, but Alice gets tense and pulls him back, telling him Clot is seriously dangerous. They watch as Clot undergoes rank evaluation and ends up getting the holy tier. Lou immediately registers him as a mithril adventurer. Everyone is hyped. Now the guild has 2 holy tier members. Merlin thinks, when it's my turn, they'll worship me too. He steps up for his assessment, places his hand on the crystal ball, and nothing happens. No glow, no aura, nothing. The whole guild bursts out laughing. The guy who talked big turned out to be a total weakling. Even Lou says he's unqualified to be an adventurer. Merlin admits it. He has no magic, no battle aura. Alice is shocked because she knows he's unbeatable with his one-strike technique. She tries to vouch for him, but Lou doesn't buy it, thinking Alice is just blinded by love. Merlin tries to explain, saying even demons wanted to make him the leader of the Hell Legion, but everyone assumes he's bluffing. Someone jokes, if bluffing had a rank, he'd be Amethyst tier for sure. Still, Merlin refuses to back down and demands to fight the Guildmaster to prove his strength. The Guildmaster, a holy tier himself, agrees. He says if you can move me even 1 inch, you win. Once given permission, Merlin unleashes his Vux sword and nukes the entire arena. Alice prays he doesn't hurt the Guildmaster too badly. The whole guild shakes from the explosion, and everyone assumes the Guildmaster did it. But actually, Merlin walks out completely unharmed and says he didn't even scratch the Guildmaster. He needs him alive to vouch for his strength. Moments later, the Guildmaster staggers out, trembling, saying he needs a new pair of pants. He literally peed himself in fear. Despite failing the evaluation, Merlin is registered as an Iron Adventurer. Now he starts planning how to earn money through adventuring. He offers Alice 10% of the mission rewards if she partners up with him. Alice flatly refuses and kicks him out. Grumbling, Merlin walks off. But he's actually broke and starving. With no place to stay, he heads straight to Alice's house while she's in the shower. When Alice comes out, startled by some noise, her towel slips off, creating a super awkward moment. Later, Merlin is chilling on her couch, eating her food without explaining why he's there. When Alice accuses him of spying on her, he casually shrugs and says, "There's nothing special about you to spy on." As Alice keeps asking questions, he starts flirting and says he's just helping a friend by living at her place to protect her, for a small protection fee. Alice throws him out, but Merlin reminds her of everything he's done for her. A crowd gathers outside, giving him pitying, looks like he's a poor dumped boyfriend. Embarrassed, Alice drags him back inside to save her own reputation. She tries to attack him with a sword, but Merlin dodges and runs straight into her bedroom, declaring he's living here now, for free. Alice attacks again, but he conveniently knocks her onto the bed and asks, "Want to share the bed?" Before she can answer, he wraps her up in a rug and gently puts her to sleep, then peacefully dozes off himself. The next day, Alice storms into the guild and vents all her anger on Lou and Hobbs, ranting about how Merlin barged into her house, made her sleep on the floor, and now her back is killing her. Hobbs thinks Alice is the real problem. Her temper's too short, and tries to calm her down, which only annoys her more. Just then, Merlin shows up fresh and proud, announcing that he and Alice now live together. The whole guild instantly assumes they've already passed all levels of love. Arnold shows up too and complains that their previous duel wasn't fair. This time, he challenges Merlin to an adventurer-style duel. Whoever gets the higher score on a mission wins. Arnold brings in an A-grade guild commission to eliminate a swarm of undead in Denbasher. Merlin isn't interested in the fight, until he hears the reward is 5,000 gold. Instantly, he's in and asks Lou to assign him the mission. Lou reminds him that as an iron rank, he can't take missions solo, so Merlin offers Alice a team-up, but she wants nothing to do with him. Arnold quickly invites her to his team, saying he's already hired Claude, the holy tier adventurer, and if she joins, the 5,000 gold will be split evenly between them. Trying to outbid him, Merlin offers Alice 10% of the full reward. But just to spite him, Alice joins Arnold's team. Merlin is now left wondering who to partner with. Without thinking too much, he grabs a drunk Hobbs and literally kidnaps him for the mission. Hobbs wakes up in a carriage heading to Denbasher and demands answers. Merlin confidently claims that Hobbs himself asked to join him on this dangerous mission. True, but Hobbs was so drunk he doesn't remember. Now Hobbs wants to turn back, because he's a low-tier mage and Merlin has no powers. But Merlin assures him they'll be fine. Undead are just trash monsters. On the way, they encounter a group of knights escorting someone in the same direction. Hobbs suggests the knights should walk, since the road is narrow. One knight replies they're escorting the Duke's daughter, who can't walk. Merlin, unfazed, casually asks if the Duke's daughter is crippled or something. Furious, the lead knight Kyle lashes out with a whip, but Merlin catches it mid-air and slams Kyle into the ground. The other knights draw their swords. Kyle gets back up, ready to fight. Merlin gives them one chance to apologize if they want to live. Otherwise, he'll wipe out their worthless existence. Just as the fight is about to erupt, a herd of flaming rhinos charges right at them. The knights immediately step in front of the carriage to protect their lady, while Hobbs literally starts crawling away to save his life. Merlin, on the other hand, stays completely chill, wondering why these wild beasts are acting so erratically. He suspects there's something in Denbasher that's scaring them. Without wasting time, Merlin steps forward and knocks out the first rhino with a single hit. The rest of the rhinos, sensing his power, immediately change direction. The knight captain knows he should thank Merlin for the help, but he's still salty about the insult to the Duke's daughter. As soon as Cecilia steps out of the carriage, she realizes Merlin is just an iron rank adventurer, but even she can tell he's powerful. So she offers to hire him for 10,000 gold. She says clearly that it's a high reward for someone of his rank, and that he won't get a better deal anytime soon. Hobbs quickly agrees to the job, but Cecilia sarcastically says even he's not worth 5 gold. Hobbs tries convincing Merlin to accept the offer, since it's double the reward of their current mission. But Merlin, knowing his worth, says if she wants him to work for her, she'll need to pay 66 trillion. Cecilia storms off with her people, and Merlin casually says he's open to negotiation. Kyle can't believe someone could be this rude. Cecilia tells her soldiers to pick up the pace. They need to reach Denbasher fast because she knows Merlin's headed there too. Meanwhile, Alice is riding in Arnold's carriage. Arnold thinks she'll fall for him, now that they have a teammate like Claude. But Alice clearly says she's not interested in the competition between him and Merlin. She prefers strong warriors, like the Nightblade Claude. Curious, Claude asks how strong people think he really is. Alice tells him that Claude once beat the holy tier pirate brothers. Claude isn't impressed. When Alice asks him who he thinks the strongest warrior is, Claude talks about the 4 legendary heroes of the former empire. Corona the dragon assassin, who killed 7 holy tiers in one night. The twin sword saint, Joe and Joey, who defeated the legendary necromancer king. And finally, storm warrior Bernard, the strongest fighter of the old empire who even defeated a holy tier necro dragon. Claude says those were the real legends. Compared to them, Nightblade is nothing. Alice gets a bit frustrated hearing that, but suddenly, their carriage screeches to a stop. A stampede of burning rhinos is charging toward them. Alice gets ready to fight, but Claude wipes them all out with a single move. Alice thinks the rhinos ran away out of fear, but Claude corrects her. Rhinos don't fear anything. The only way to stop them is to kill them. Meanwhile, Merlin is drinking with a few girls who are totally impressed with him. Just then, Alice shows up and tells him to take the mission seriously. The girls assume she's his girlfriend and walk off. Merlin ignores Alice and reminds her they're not even on the same team. Arnold brags that he'll win for sure because Claude is on his side. Merlin, uninterested, says he only cares about the 5,000 gold reward. Arnold still believes Alice will fall for him eventually, but she completely ignores him and walks ahead. Arnold then reveals that the tomb they're about to explore belonged to a former kingdom's chancellor. Some grave robbers accidentally woke him, and now he's a necromancer summoning souls. Whoever defeats him will be hailed as a great hero, but Arnold adds that this necromancer possesses holy tear power, and he doubts Merlin stands a chance. Meanwhile, Alice is secretly tailing Claude in the forest. Suddenly, a portal opens and Claude starts speaking to his master, who calls him Bernard. Alice is shocked. She realizes Claude is actually one of the legendary heroes of the old empire. As she tries to quietly sneak away, she accidentally makes a noise. Bernard notices her. She plays it off, pretending to be drunk and lost, and invites him to have a drink. Bernard refuses. Alice breathes a sigh of relief, thinking she fooled him, but she casts a low-level eavesdropping spell to listen in on his conversation. Bernard tells his master that the necromancer's spirit is restless, and the entire area is now filled with undead. He explains that he disguised himself as an adventurer to keep his identity and mission secret. His master says that before the empire fell, the chancellor turned himself into a lich, and now, 400 years later, his dark magic is still extremely dangerous. Bernard promises to defeat him and restore the empire. As Bernard moves toward the tomb, Alice decides to follow him quietly. She knows she can't face him, but she wants to know what he's planning. She considers asking Merlin for help, but decides against it, thinking he'll just make fun of her for depending on him. Meanwhile, Cecilia and her soldiers reach the tomb, and she orders them not to stop. They can't let anyone else steal the credit. Bernard watches from afar and thinks they'll all die because the necromancer's maze is deadly. Alice also realizes she could get lost in the maze, so she decides to keep close to Bernard. The next morning, Arnold goes looking for Alice. He storms into Merlin's tent, yanks off his blanket, and is relieved that Alice isn't there. But Merlin wakes up instantly and punches Arnold for disturbing his sleep. Arnold explains Alice is missing, and Claude is nowhere to be found either. Hobbs mentions they both left camp in the middle of the night. Arnold starts crying, thinking they ran away together. But Hobbs says they probably went to finish the mission. Arnold cheers up, but Merlin gets pissed, and also heads straight for the forest. Back at the tomb, Bernard effortlessly defeats the guarding monsters, while Alice keeps secretly following him. When Bernard opens a hidden passage, he summons the necromancer, who recognizes him as the Empire's strongest warrior. Bernard tells him that the prince revived him and the other heroes to restore the empire. But the necromancer refuses to help. Bernard then demands the key they're looking for. The necromancer warns him that the empire fell because the king made a deal with demons, and he doesn't want them to repeat that mistake. Bernard insists on taking the key. A brutal battle breaks out, and the entire area starts collapsing. Alice realizes she's trapped. The exit's blocked. Meanwhile, Merlin casually slices through every monster in his path. At one point, he thinks he's lost, but then remembers that bosses are always at the deepest part of a dungeon. So he punches the ground and crashes down to the next level. Elsewhere, Kyle and his soldiers are struggling with monsters. Cecilia uses her holy light to temporarily clear a path, but then guardian necromancers show up and wipe out her knights in one strike. One of them charges at Cecilia, but Kyle throws himself in front of her to protect her. He tells her to run. She refuses and prays to the goddess of light for protection. Just then, Merlin arrives on the scene, and Cecilia is stunned to see how he got down there. He casually says he took a shortcut by punching through the floor. Cecilia begs him for help, but he tells her to get her knights out of the way. They're just slowing him down. She explains her mission, but Merlin doesn't care. He easily wipes out all the guardian necromancers and tells her she's out of options. She should just accept the loss. Cecilia pleads again, and Merlin says he'll do it for 66 trillion. When she says she doesn't have that much and offers herself instead, Merlin flat out says he's not interested, and that her first deal was better. In the end, they settle for 10,000 gold. He pins Cecilia and Kyle against the wall with a barrier and says undead won't get through. He'll be back after claiming the bounty. Meanwhile, Bernard is still battling the necromancer. The necromancer attacks with death beams, but Bernard dodges and counters with tapestry slash. The necromancer summons the king of giants, who lands a solid punch on Bernard. The necromancer warns him he'll lose because he's facing two holy tier opponents. Right then, Merlin enters the scene. Alice is relieved to see him. Merlin thinks, perfect timing. The necromancer's still alive, so Bernard probably wanted the bounty all for himself. The necromancer fires a death beam at Merlin, but he blocks it with his bare hands. The necromancer is stunned. He realizes Merlin is way more powerful than them. Both enemies attack together, but Merlin blocks them effortlessly. He wonders what Claude, Bernard, is even doing. Alice considers helping, but Merlin says he doesn't want her to die. She may be weak, but she at least helps with the rent. Alice gets mad hearing that, but before she can react, Merlin ends it with one strike. taking out both the necromancer and the giant. He picks up the key. Bernard offers him 200,000 gold in exchange for it, but Alice stops him and reveals Bernard's plan to restore the old empire. Bernard realizes she knows everything and tries to kill her, but Merlin knocks his weapon away and says he won't let anyone touch Alice. He lives in her house after all. Bernard accepts he must defeat Merlin. He activates a forbidden technique that increases his power 100-fold. He declares that he'll go all in, because finally, he's found a worthy opponent. He creates multiple clones and prepares his ultimate move, but Merlin defeats him in a single strike. Bernard recognizes Merlin's sword and realizes Merlin is actually the world's most powerful demon. Then, he slowly fades away. Merlin thinks if Bernard had no life force left, then this key must be important. Someone was willing to pay 200,000 gold for it. Alice suggests that they should hand over the key to the kingdom, but Merlin says it might lead to some treasure, because let's be real, they'll never pay off their debt taking the straightforward route. They both leave the tomb together, but then it's revealed that they completely forgot about Cecilia, who's still trapped inside, crying for help. Meanwhile, the other adventurers are still fighting off undead, and Hobbs and Arnold are wondering why their teammates ditched them. When the undead suddenly disappear, Arnold realizes that the undead mage must have been defeated. As soon as Arnold spots Merlin and Alice returning, he gets excited. Merlin starts bragging about how he took down the boss, but quickly realizes everyone's praising Alice instead, thinking she defeated the boss alone. When Alice tries to give credit to Merlin, no one believes her. After all, he's just an Iron Rank adventurer. Bella, the reporter, covers the whole event and then interviews Alice, asking how she managed to defeat the boss. Alice explains that Merlin did all the work, but Bella brushes it off, assuming Merlin just showed up at the end after Claude had already weakened the boss. Frustrated at not getting any credit, Merlin sulks. To cheer him up, Alice offers him 70% of the mission reward. The prince and the heroes? Meanwhile, the other heroes are with the prince. Joe and Joy mock Bernard for being a failure, since he didn't even retrieve the gate. Corona scolds them, saying they shouldn't disrespect a fallen comrade because Bernard was loyal to the Empire. But the twins argue that loyalty means nothing if you can't deliver results. Just as the argument heats up, the prince steps in and says their secret is out now, and before the kingdom launches an attack, it's time to take action. He orders the summoning of the Hell Legion and tells Corona to retrieve the key. Corona swears to revive the Empire. Debt and new beginnings. Back with Merlin and Alice, Merlin's thrilled he got most of the reward. Arnold chimes in, reminding him that his team won the duel, so if he wins again, he gets to date Alice. Hobbs worries about the old Empire making a comeback, but Arnold thinks the Bone Necromancer Knights will easily crush them. Merlin's never heard of them, so Hobbs explains they're the kingdom's elite unit. 12 holy tier warriors known as the Thorn Paladin. We then see Cecilia and Kyle being rescued outside the tomb by those very same Necromancer Knights. Kyle is shocked they're involved, but Cecilia's too busy cursing Merlin for abandoning her. Later, Merlin's group arrives at a town, but they're suddenly attacked by cloaked figures announcing they want to challenge Alice. Merlin shrugs and lets them go for it. Alice suspects they might be from the old Empire. She uses her ice magic to overpower them easily, but just as she's about to stab one of them, a magic shield blocks the attack. The disguise fades, and Arnold recognizes the emblem on the enemy's armor. The man introduces himself as Chapman, saying he was sent to investigate Alice. But now that his investigation is complete, he politely asks her to cooperate. He says the reports about her were probably exaggerated. She doesn't seem strong enough to have taken down 2 holy tier opponents. He even claims none of the 4 heroes look that special, and says they won't even need the Thorn Paladins to handle them. Suddenly, Chapman feels a scratch on his neck, but no one's around. He thinks maybe he imagined it. A shocking revelation. Merlin and Alice return to the guild. Lou hands Alice her reward, which turns out to be more than expected. Alice is surprised, but Lou explains it includes Merlin's share too. Then she drops a bombshell. Their debts have now been merged, because they're officially registered as a married couple. The Grandmaster already filed the paperwork. Both Merlin and Alice are shocked. They never agreed to get married. Arnold is devastated, but Alice kicks him hard. Now they want to dissolve the marriage, but Lou tells them they first need to officially register it before a divorce is possible. She also explains that since the debt is now consolidated, even after divorce it will be split evenly. Merlin realizes he's just inherited millions in extra debt. Alice laughs and says he totally deserves it for ruining her life. Training and unexpected encounters. Now that they're stuck together, they constantly argue, especially about who gets to sleep on the bed. They agree to take turns doing chores. Alice says it's Merlin's turn today, but he just goes to sleep. Alice reminds him about responsibility, but he doesn't care, and she realizes he's completely useless. The next day, Alice tells Lou she can't live with Merlin anymore. She did all the chores alone and wants a divorce ASAP. Merlin says he'll leave once the debt is paid off. He asks Lou what the fastest way to do that is. She tells him S rank quests pay huge amounts, but Hobbs adds that those are extremely rare. He explains the last time adventurers teamed up to defeat a kraken. Merlin thinks that sounds like easy money, and asks Lou for a S rank quest. She says he needs to reach Mithril Bank level first. Alice is already gold rank, so she has a better shot, but to reach Mithril, she'll need to become a Saint Master. So Merlin decides to train her, but warns that if she slacks off, she could lose everything. Training begins. Alice charges at him, but Merlin launches her into the air and mocks her for not landing a single hit. Alice tries again and again, but fails each time and starts doubting Merlin's training methods. She thinks he's just messing with her. Merlin tells her not to blame him. She just lacks determination. He explains that real progress comes when you're at the edge of death. Then he threatens her with a sword, saying if she doesn't give it her all, she'll die. Alice attacks with her ice spell, but Merlin reminds her that magic doesn't work on him. She goes full power and surrounds him with ice clones, charging in, yet he still catches her sword and says she's too slow. He slaps her with a wax attack. Alice blocks it with all her strength, survives, but collapses from exhaustion. Then Merlin notices a cut on his hand. Alice actually hurt him. He wonders how that's even possible. Dark Tribe and Hellforce. Just then, Hobbs shows up, saying, "A woman is here to meet Merlin." Merlin wonders who it could be, but Hobbs invites him to hang out. As they leave the training area, Corona watches them from the shadows and realizes Merlin has the key. Hobbs takes Merlin to a nightclub and calls it a man's paradise. Merlin looks around and thinks the place feels strangely familiar. Hobbs introduces him to a woman named Helena, who seems to recognize him. While Hobbs relaxes, a seductive performer takes the stage. It's Corona. Hobbs is immediately charmed, but as soon as she tries to grab the key, Merlin calls her boring and says she looks old. Offended, Corona decides she's going to kill him. But just then, Helena interrupts, saying someone wants to meet him. Curious, Merlin follows Helena through a secret passage. Once inside, Helena strips off her disguise, revealing her true form. She's a member of the Dark Tribe and the Demon King of the Fourth Hall. Merlin is stunned and wonders what she's doing here. Then Demon General Exodius orders her to stand down. Helena smirks sarcastically, saying she opened the nightclub just to make money, just like how Merlin used to run that cursed item shop in the Demon Realm. Merlin has no memory of this. Helena mocks him, saying that's why he got fired from his job. She then reveals that due to the poor performance of the first hall, she now owes an extra 10 billion in debt. Merlin says he's never going back to the Demon Realm. He actually likes his life now. Helena laughs, saying he's happy as an iron adventurer. Merlin says it's just temporary, then asks why she really wanted to meet. Helena warns him about Hellforce. She reminds him that he killed one of their envoys. Merlin recalls that guy was super annoying, so he sliced him. Helena warns him that Hellforce is now his enemy, but Merlin confidently says he'll destroy them, soul to soul. Helena tells him to calm down, or he might destroy the entire world. Helena adds that Hobbs already went home, and says he'll get a discount next time he visits. The dragon and the key. As Merlin walks through the forest, Corona sneaks up and tries to slice his neck, but fails. Merlin accidentally launches her into the air. Then he suddenly remembers he left Alice unconscious. He tells Corona to stop bothering him. She's stunned by his strength, but says she still has a trump card. Back at the guild, Alice drags Merlin with her. Merlin's impressed by the library. It has all the King of Guilds books. Alice explains that Davichi can check the key, since she's a scholar and alchemist. They meet librarian Miss Davi and her assistant Rosette. Rosette is thrilled to meet Merlin, Alice's husband. Alice hands over the key. Merlin asks if it holds any value. Davichi studies it closely and realizes it's laced with Hell's glyphs. She asks if Merlin still needs it, or if she can study it. Alice agrees, but Merlin is worried someone might steal it. Alice assures him it'll be safe. Just then, Davichi senses an ominous aura from the key and feels like something terrible is coming. Later, Merlin checks the guild quest board and gets annoyed. All the quests are lame, like catching dogs or finding perverts. Then Lou hands him and Alice a sealed envelope. It's a special work request, meant just for them. She says these usually pay really well. The request says a dragon is attacking a mountain village. If they slay it, they'll earn 20,000 gold. Merlin gets pumped. Finally, a holy dragon to kill. Meanwhile, the frost holy dragon Corona freed is now awake. He says he has no interest in this mess, but since Corona freed him, he'll help her once. She tells him a powerful demon king killed her friend, the holy light dragon, and she wants him to take that demon king down. The frost dragon doesn't believe any demon could defeat a holy light dragon. Corona then disguises herself as a village girl to meet Merlin, while trapping the real girl in ice.
The snowstorm was relentless as Merlin and Alice journeyed toward the village. The cold had hit hard, and Alice was visibly freezing, shivering under her cloak. But Merlin, rather than slowing down, deliberately drove the carriage even faster. The wind lashed at Alice's face as she yelled over the gusts, "Could you slow down? It's freezing." Merlin, with a sly grin, teased, "If I go slow, we'll be late. And you wouldn't want that, would you?" As they finally arrived at the village outskirts, both of them were stunned. A massive mountain of ice stood tall in front of them, unnatural, eerie, and cold as death. Merlin narrowed his eyes. This has to be the work of the iceberg dragon. Alice, half in fear, half in curiosity, asked, "Is it really that strong?" But Merlin, he was actually hoping for that. Please let it be strong, he thought to himself. Weak enemies are useless to me. Suddenly, a small girl approached them and asked, "Are you Merlin and Alice? The ones who solved the undead mystery?" She introduced herself as Annie, the chief's daughter. Alice smiled, realizing she must be their client. "Nice to meet you, little sister," she said, shaking her hand. But here's the twist. This little girl wasn't Annie. She was Corona, and as she looked at Merlin she thought, where the hell is he hiding it? Merlin sniffed the air and said bluntly, "She doesn't smell like a little sister, more like a cranky old aunt." Corona snapped inside, her eyes twitching as she swore under her breath. Alice quickly clamped Merlin's mouth shut. "She's just a little girl. What is wrong with you?" Corona, brushing it off, looked at them solemnly. "Please save us from that dragon. He said if we don't offer him a maiden girl as sacrifice, he'll turn the entire village into ice. And tomorrow it's supposed to be my turn." Merlin raised an eyebrow. "That's ridiculous. Dragons don't eat human, especially not old women. They taste terrible." "Shut up," Alice yelled. "Don't worry, Annie. We're here now." Annie smiled and led them to the village chief. Villagers were gathered, chipping away at the massive iceberg with no success. Annie introduced them, but the chief was dismissive. "You should leave. This is beyond your abilities. We're dealing with a frost dragon, one of the legendary holy dragons." Merlin's eyes lit up like a child in a candy store. "And what's the proof?" the chief replied grimly. "That mountain of ice? He made it, with just his breath." Merlin couldn't hold back his excitement. He laughed. "Then bring him out. I want to kill him already." Villagers were offended. "You think this is a joke?" Without a word, Merlin walked toward the iceberg. He flicked it casually with one finger. Nothing happened. The chief sighed. "Are you messing with us?" Another villager muttered, "I thought he'd break it in 2 shots. What a waste." But suddenly, the iceberg shattered into pieces with a thunderous explosion. The villagers were stunned silent. Merlin stretched and yawned. "This cold's making me hungry. I won't have energy to smash dragons if I don't eat." Cut to Merlin devouring a feast while villagers gossip in awe. "We're lucky to have someone this powerful," one said. The chief bowed his head. "Forgive us for misjudging your power. Can we talk commission fees?" Alice looked confused. "Didn't Annie mention commission in her letter?" The chief laughed. "Annie can't even write." Annie quickly interrupted. "We have a famous hot spring. You should check it out." Alice lit up with excitement. "Let's go." At the hot spring, Merlin was totally relaxed. Alice, however, sat curled in a corner, blushing. "Why are you hiding?" Merlin asked. Alice replied nervously. "Sharing a hot spring with you. Doesn't that count as a relationship?" Merlin slowly moved closer. Alice shrieked and smashed a soap bar on his head. Merlin yelled, "What's wrong with you? You started creeping up on me." Merlin paused. "Hey, remember how you always wanted to get stronger?" He explained, "If we defeat this dragon, we might get a dragon essence. It's a crystallized inheritance that only powerful dragons leave behind. As long as you consume it, you'll gain their powers. Not just magic and weapons, but a rare, powerful dragon body." Alice's eyes sparkled. "You're really going to give me something this precious?" Merlin shrugged. "I'm already strong. It's for your upgrade." Alice blushed. "You're such a gentleman." Merlin rolled his eye. "Just hurry up and level up so I can start getting S-rank missions." Suddenly, Alice changed the topic. "Do you think Nightblade is awesome?" Merlin choked on his drink. Then he dramatically declared, "Actually, I am the legendary Nightblade." Pow! Alice punched him in the face. "How dare you insult my idol like that?" "It's true," Merlin protested. "Look at yourself. You're a lazy pervert who treats me like a slave and brags all day long. Don't ever compare yourself to Nightblade." Merlin grumbled. "With that attitude, even in your next life, he won't marry you." Alice screamed, "How dare you curse me? I curse you to be single for life." Suddenly, Merlin clutched his chest in pain and collapsed into the spring. Alice panicked and dragged his unconscious body back toward the village, only to see a crowd forming. The frost dragon had arrived. It roared, "Who dared to break my iceberg?" It turned to face them. "Are you the adventurers Corona mentioned?" Alice froze in terror. "Merlin, wake up, now!" The villagers panicked. "What happened to our hero?" Alice grabbed a sword. "Fine, I'll fight myself." She attacked with ice spikes, but the dragon laughed. "You fool! Ice against an ice dragon?" The villagers scattered. Alice stood alone, terrified. "That was my full power, and it did nothing." The dragon charged up an ice-fire breath, aimed straight at her. In her final moments, Alice whispered, "If only I could meet Nightblade one more time, just to tell him how much I like him." Suddenly, a shadow dashed in and blocked the blast. It was Merlin. He grinned. "You're scared of this lizard? Pathetic." Alice's vision blurred. For a moment, she thought it was Nightblade. But then she saw Merlin's face, and her hope turned to horror. Even the dragon was shocked. "He blocked my attack? This must be the one Corona warned me about." But Merlin didn't attack. He hugged the dragon. My lovely lizard, I've been waiting for you. The dragon flung him away in disgust. What is wrong with this guy? No fear, no respect. Alice deadpanned. You'll get used to the insult. He's kinda like that. The dragon growled, ready to attack, but Merlin shouted, "Wait!" He picked up a stick and threw it. "Go fetch." The dragon screamed, "I'm not a dog." "But your family used to love fetch," Merlin said with a serious face. That was it. The dragon snapped. "I'll kill you." Merlin grabbed its claws and dragged it away like a pet. Alice stood frozen in disbelief. Suddenly, Annie ran up to her, crying. I had urgent things to do. But before Alice could respond, Annie summoned a black dragon head and attacked her. Alice dodged just in time. You're the dark creature?" Annie revealed her true identity, Corona, the jade dragon thief, one of the 4 legendary heroes. "You're here to avenge Bernard?" Alice asked. Corona smirked. "No, I'm here for Key. The one you people stole." Alice stammered, "Key? What are you talking about?" "I'll make you talk," Corona said as she trapped Alice in a field of dark magic. Alice tried to strike back, but Corona sneered. "You can't even touch my shadow." But Alice mustered a final blast, breaking the spell. Corona gasped. How did you do that?" Flashback time. It was all thanks to their res experts' devil training that turned this loser into a weapon. Suddenly, Alice's demon brother teleported in, mocking Corona. Shameful. Losing to a weakling. Corona shouted at him to shut up. "If I get serious, you won't even land a hit." Meanwhile, Merlin and the dragon were deep in a heated, intense battle. Merlin grinned. "The more you hit me, the stronger my healing effect gets." The dragon calls him arrogant and launches a blazing fire breath attack, thinking that in his absolute zero domain, even Merlin's soul will freeze. But Merlin remains completely unharmed. He chuckles. "Magic doesn't work on me, so don't bother trying so hard." The dragon is stunned. "Magic immunity? How? What even are you?" With a smug grin, Merlin boasts, "Well, since you asked so nicely, let me enlighten you. I'm the first Agent Monarch, the pride and glory of Devil Palace, the one and only Devil King." The dragon growls in rage. "So you're the one who killed the Holy Dragonlight?" Merlin laughs. "Oh, that little cutie? Kill him? No way. He's my palace guardian now, like a lovable pet." The dragon roars, furious. "You dare insult the honor of the Holy Dragon?" Meanwhile, Corona continues pounding Sister Alice, but then she pauses in surprise. Why would Devil King ignore her hot beauty and choose a childish-looking girl instead? Is Merlin trying to say Alice's beauty is meaningless? Alice mocks him. Guess grannies a few centuries old just don't appeal to him. Corona lashes out in fury, but her brother stops her. Wait, she might be useful as a hostage. In the next scene, we see the dragon giving it everything he's got, and still unable to defeat Merlin. Corona secretly watches from a distance. Finally, Merlin decides it's time to end this with his sword, but just then, a sharp pain stabs his heart. Corona sees the opportunity and attacks. She laughs. "No matter how strong you are, you can't stand against the Holy Master." She yells to the Holy Dragon, "I'll weaken his defenses. You attack from the front." But the Frost Dragon swats her away with his tail. "How many times will you disgrace my honor? You're just a low-level thief. Stay out of this." Merlin rises again. "If I can't kill you right now, I'll drag you back to my palace and raise you like a pet." The Cross Dragon loses it and unleashes his ultimate weapon, Ice Mountain. But Merlin slices through it in one move and then slashes the dragon in half. The dragon gasps, stunned. This power, it's like a god's. I've never seen anything like it." With that final blow, the dragon is destroyed. Merlin sighs in relief. The curse in his heart has quieted, at least for the next 2 years. But suddenly, Corona appears, tears open the dragon's head, and devours his crystal. Merlin yells, "You can't just eat it raw like that." Corona transforms into her devil dragon form, soaring into the sky and laughing madly. Now her hearing is sharper than ever. "I've surpassed the dragon. I'm now the most powerful being in the world." She grins. "And now, I'll punish the one who insulted the gods." Merlin smirks. "Great, Auntie's back again." He warns her, "You shouldn't have eaten that dragon essence raw. If you don't want to look like this forever, spit it out." Corona snarls, "Don't you dare lecture me. I'm one of the 4 heroes, the Jade Thief. You've been rude to me too many times. Now I've got dragon power. I'll teach you a lesson." Merlin mocks her. "Auntie, you're flying too high. I'm the one who killed that dragon with my sword. And FYI, that essence you ate, it hasn't fully digested. So drop the idea that you're stronger than me." Corona strikes with two-way throat sealing. Merlin dodges easily. "That's it? That's your big attack?" She keeps attacking, but Merlin casually evades every strike. Then she coils him with her snake binding. "I'll shut your loud mouth for good." But Merlin breaks free, grabs her neck, and says, "How many times do I have to say it? I'm not interested in you, Auntie." Corona is stunned. How did he escape my snake binding? Merlin shrugs. "I've played this game with my pet so many times. It's child's play. I'm bored." Furious, Corona unleashes her final move, Dragon Nirvana. Merlin laughs out loud. "That's the funniest move name I've ever heard." Corona activates Glacier Descent, freezing the entire area solid. She celebrates her victory. Now he's done for. But her joy turns to horror as Merlin simply sneezes. "Brr, it's getting chilly." Corona clutches her head. That magic could freeze an entire ocean. And he just sneezed? Merlin grins. "I can absorb others' powers too, you know, just like you." Corona, now desperate, laughs manically. "You may be strong, but look behind you." Merlin turns around and freezes in shock. Corona smirks. "Because of your arrogance, all the villagers and that girl you liked, they're all dead." Merlin's expression hardens. Even though she was a loser, rude, and mostly useless, it still hurts. Corona revels in his pain. As she turns to leave, Merlin activates his devil mode, blocks her path, and ends it all with a single sword strike. The crystal hits the ground. Corona's brother, Joey, is unfrozen and calls her a mad woman. He walks away to complete his mission. As he steps through a portal, Merlin grabs his hand and slices it off, but Joey escapes. Now the village slowly restores itself, and Merlin starts to worry about Alice. Meanwhile, Joey reaches their hideout. His brother sees his condition and panics. "What happened to you?" Joey replies, "I fought a monster." His brother agrees. "And you clearly lost," he laughs, earning himself a slap. Their boss enters, demanding answers. Joey reports, "Corona and the Holy Dragon are dead." The boss is shocked. The one who stole the key really is that powerful? Joey reassures him, "Don't worry. My brother and I will finish him with our combat skills." The boss asks, "Where is he? Did you capture him?" Joey shakes his head. The boss explodes in anger. "We're out of time. The key is too urgent." Joey calmly says, "Relax. I've captured the girl. He'll come to save her. And when he does, I'll cut off his hand." Meanwhile, Alice wakes up and sees an elf in front of her. Just then, Joey's brother enters the prison. The elf trembles. "Please don't hurt me. I'll do whatever you say." Alice summons her sword and stabs Joey's brother, but he's undead, completely unaffected. He knocks Alice away. Cut to a mysterious man holding a bottle, laughing as he gazes at the Holy Dragon's dead body. "With this blood, I'll create countless powerful warriors. This will be the perfect gift for the lust devil." Back at the prison, Joey's brother approaches the elf, slashes her, and begins collecting her blood. Alice yells, "How could you do something so cruel?" The man twists his neck 360 degrees and responds, "Cruel? That's what my neighbor's daughter said too when I tried taking her fingers. But it's not my fault. My brother makes me do it. If I disobey, I'll be punished." He laughs and cries like a madman. "I'm sorry. I have no choice." Alice and the elf are horrified. This poor guy. He's just a victim of bullying. He leaves. Alice comforts the elf. "Don't worry, I'm a great hero. Help will come." The elf reveals her name, Shirley. She says she snuck out to play one day and was caught by a bad guy. Alice asks, "Why do they want your blood?" Shirley explains, "The boss wants a potion made from unicorn blood to increase his lifespan. When I was caught, another elf was here. They drained all her blood. Her body is still in the prison." Shirley trembles in fear. Alice holds her hand. "Don't worry, help is coming soon." Meanwhile, Lunadora is having visions of the future. Rossetti tries to wake her up. Merlin walks in, demanding the key. Rossetti says Lunadora was studying magic. Only Merlin can bring her back. So he flicks her forehead, launching her across the room. Rossetti is horrified, but Lunadora wakes up. She reveals the key is from hell and must be delivered to the royal family. Merlin refuses. Alice has been captured. "I'll use this key to rescue her." Lunadora warns, "If this key falls into the wrong hands, the gates of hell could open. Thousands will die." But Merlin only cares about Alice. Lunadora is surprised. "What is Alice to you?" Just then, Merlin's red devil appears. "If she's trapped in hell, should we just hang her there?" The blue devil chimes in. "Are we supposed to pay the full 10 million debt alone?" Lunadora hands over the key. "Only you can decide now." Merlin accepts it. "I'll send them all back to hell in one strike." Then realizes, "I don't know where to go." The red and blue devils advise him, "Ask your sister for help." But Merlin hesitates. "She'll scold me for helping humans and turn Alice into a doll for her collection." He refuses. Red Devil suggests asking Corona, but Merlin panics. "She'd turn me into her slave." He holds his head. "Why did Alice get captured?" Just then, Hobbs and Arnold arrive. Arnold blames Merlin again. How could you let this happen? Hobbs calms him down. We found her location. Merlin lights up. He pins her location on the map. We've put out an announcement. Whoever rescues Alice will get 10 million gold. Now we wait. But Merlin bolts out to save her himself. Hobbs smirks. Guess money's not what drives him. Meanwhile, the Bougainvillea Knights set out to rescue Alice. Their leader says, "The Queen personally gave me 2 orders. Win this battle to restore our pride, and ruin the reputation of the Nightblade." One knight is shocked. Why ruin the legend? The leader scoffs. Because people are calling him a savior, and that threatens our position, and the Queen's. He adds, and remember, 6 months ago, the Elf King's daughter, Shirley, was captured here. Suddenly, Joey attacks. The leader defends easily. I am Sardit, the 9th most powerful warrior of the Bougainvillea Knights. Joey smirks. And I am Joey, the former 4th hero of the kingdom. A subordinate knight panics. An intense battle begins. Joey swings wildly, but Sardit's defense is strong. With one strike, he draws blood from Joey's chest. The knights prepare for attack formation, but just then, Joe bursts into laughter, a maddening, echoing laugh. With a flick of his shadow swordsmanship, he summons 10 Raidos from the void. He turns to the Sahadan knights with a wicked grin. Joe, each of these shadows carries strength equal to mine. One by one, the shadows begin dismantling the knights, tearing through them like phantoms. Joe watches, pleased, almost proud. Suddenly, Sahadin surges forward, activating the Great Shield Spark, and launches a surprise attack on Joe. Elsewhere, Merlin is still hunting for the location. He hears the clash of battle in the distance and lights up. Merlin, relieved. Finally, someone I can ask for directions. Just hope they're not dead yet. Back on the battlefield, Sahadin thinks he's struck Joe down, but Joe's undead. His mangled body begins reassembling, grotesque, unnatural. Joe, grinning. Brother, it's time. His brother appears, and together they merge their combo skill. Sahadin activates Body of Steel, making himself invulnerable to physical attack. But the brothers are relentless. They unleash their ultimate combo, Fusion Martial Art Pure Gatri Stormer. The devastating blow shatters Sahadin's shield and rips through him. Only one knight remains. Joe turns to his brother and commands coldly, Joe, torture him, and don't kill him too fast, or you'll be punished. As the brother begins the torment, Merlin makes his entrance. The knight, barely alive, yells, Knight, run! Get out of here. Joe, laughing maniacally, Ha, yeah, run, or I'll torture you till your screams echo through hell. Merlin, mocking deadpan. Does he always talk like this in public? His mental state seems unstable. Someone get this man a doctor. Joe snaps. Joey, you're not afraid of me? I wiped out an elite group of knights. Merlin, unbothered. Please, you're not even worthy of being the fat in my soup. Why would I be scared of you? Also, didn't you run away last time? Joe, growling. That time I was alone. This time, I've got my brother. You won't survive our combo. Merlin, ignoring him completely, asks, Where's your wife? I mean, my roommate. Where's my roommate? Joe, first, I need something from you. The two brothers activate their combo technique, Corona Storm. But as always, Merlin casually defeats them with a single sword swing. Clean. Instant. Joe blames his brother for their loss. Joe, furious. We lost because of you. Merlin, dry. You're both weak, but at least Joe has potential. You're just dragging him down. Joe's eyes flare up. He snaps at his brother. Kill him, or I'll punish you again. The brother hesitates. Emotional. Merlin, cool and calm. You don't have to listen to this toxic family drama. Suddenly, Joe stabs his brother himself. Joe, shaking, laughing. I've wanted to do this for a long time. As Joe begins to awaken his full potential, preparing to strike down Merlin, Merlin slices through him with a single swing. Merlin, softly. You've finally discovered your hidden strength. Now rest. The knight, stunned by Merlin's power, pleads. Knight, please, let me join your team. But Merlin's already gone, racing off to rescue Alice. Cut 2. Alice and the elf girl escaping the breeding chambers. On their way, they take down hordes of enemies, until they're suddenly blocked by a massive undead army. The elf trembles, but Alice steps forward, steeling herself. Undead boss, grinning. You're our bargaining chip. You think we're letting you walk out? Alice begins wiping out the undead one by one, freezing undead knights with her ice magic. The boss, surprised. Undead boss, I underestimated your power. Alice, surrender now. But the boss grows angry and starts monologuing his tragic backstory. Then, he revives his undead army, putting Alice in an even worse position. The enemies close in. She tries to cast magic again, but blood spills from her body. Her last drop of energy is gone. Undead boss, laughing. Looks like you're out of tricks. This is the end. Alice, surrounded and bleeding, begins to lose hope. Her rescuer hasn't come. Just then, Merlin appears heroically. Merlin, am I late? The elf gasps in joy. But Alice? Furious. Alice, where were you? Ever heard of being on time? Undead king, stepping forward. So you're the key thief, the one who stole our gate key. I've been waiting. Alice, venting. Were you trying to watch me hang? I waited. If you were a true Nightblade, you'd have saved me hours ago. Merlin, yelling. Oh, shut up, you half-brained brat. This is the 9th time I've saved you. Alice, nobody asked you to. I can handle myself, thank you very much. Merlin, stunned. I skipped $1 million bounty just to get here in time. How will you compensate me? The elf watches their argument like it's a romantic comedy. Undead king, frustrated. Hello? You defeated 4 of my heroes to get here, and you're just ignoring me? Alice and Merlin, snapping in unison. Shut up! We're not done arguing. Undead king, summoning his army. You dare insult me? I have an infinite undead army. Merlin casually slices through them all with one swing. The king stands in stunned silence. Merlin, to Alice. These elite-tier rookies are useless to me. You take care of the king. Consider this a light training session. Alice's confidence surges. Alice, finally, that's what I wanted. Undead king, enraged. You dare underestimate me? Merlin, leaning in the corner. Just finish this. I want to go home. And don't forget, it's your week to wash dishes. You already skipped 2 days. Alice, groaning. Ugh, I know. Let me kill him first. She charges the boss. He unleashes dark magic. Undead king, how long can you fight with that injured body? But Alice dodges every attack, striking back with surgical precision. He casts a massive barrier. She shatters it. Undead king, shocked. This sword, it's not ordinary. Alice, your dark powers are nothing before my holy sword, Light Anthem. The undead king throws every spell he has, but Alice keeps slashing from all angles. Finally, she uses her secret technique, Zero Triple Strike, defeating him. The elf girl cheers. Merlin chills on the side, unimpressed. But the king suddenly yells, it's not over. Tentacles grab the elf girl, distracting Alice. The king strikes her neck with dark magic. She collapses. He grabs her. Undead king, threatening. One more move and this girl dies. Obey me now. Merlin, gritting his teeth, muttering, this idiot, this loser queen of noobs, can't even beat one unstable old man. All my training, wasted. Alice, weak but angry. I didn't lose. He cheated, and you didn't even save Shidley. That's why I got distracted. Merlin, getting distracted in battle is pathetic, and you're always a pain to rescue. Why should I even save this elf kid for free? Shidley, blushing. You two are the cutest couple I've ever seen. Undead king, groaning. Again with the flirting. Merlin and Alice yelling together. We're not flirting. Undead king. She's poisoned. If you want her alive, give me the key. Merlin pulls out the key. Merlin, mocking. You mean this key? The one that opens the gate between the abyss and reality? Undead king, grinning. Oh, so you do know about the apostles of the abyss. Wait, don't tell me. You've made a deal with them too, haven't you? Merlin, please, I don't do dumb deals. I don't kneel to anyone. Unlike you, the abyss king's pet dog. Undead king, dignity means nothing. Ultimate power is dignity. Do you know what the great abyss king promised me? As long as I keep the gate open, I'll get eternal youth, infinite life, supreme power, and an invincible abyss army. I'll rule this entire world. No, this whole earth. I will become the eternal king. Alice, I'll never let that happen. She refuses to give him the key. The king begins choking her harder. Undead king, just hand it over, sweetly, or watch her suffer. Alice, struggling. Don't worry about me. We cannot let this happen, or the entire continent will be destroyed. Merlin tosses the key to the ground. Merlin, come and take it. The king rushes to grab it. Undead king. Yes, my dream is finally real. Merlin stares him down. A glare of death. The king flinches. Undead king, warning. Don't get smart. She's still poisoned. Merlin walks over to Alice and lifts her up gently, but Alice grabs his collar. Alice, furious. What the hell is wrong with you? You know what this key can do. Why would you give it to him? Merlin, smiling. I'm the demon king. I don't care if the world burns. I only want to know, is there anyone in this legion who can finally give my sword a challenge? Alice, if you won't stop him, then I will take back that key myself. She tries to stand. Merlin, gently. Don't move too much. The poison's still in your system. Alice, snapping, "You fool of a demon king! We can't let him open the abyss gate." But just then, Merlin suddenly kisses Alice. The poison starts to fade away, little by little. Alice, furious, punches him hard and shouts, "Get away from me! This is life or death, and you're taking advantage of me?" Merlin calmly replies, "I was just detoxifying you. Don't forget, my saliva can heal." Alice blushes, flustered. "What kind of excuse is that? You don't even know what side effects your saliva might have." Merlin mutters, "So what? You'll be seeing Nightblade in your dreams anyway. Stupid girl. The real Nightblade is standing right in front of you." "Alice, what are you mumbling about? Just go and rescue Shardy already." Heroic cut. Merlin slashes through the tentacles and frees Shardy. Shardy immediately hugs Alice. "You were right. Your most trusted ally did come to save us." Alice quickly covers her mouth, panicking. Now Merlin's definitely going to roast her for that one. Merlin smirks. Alice is stressed. She knows he won't let this go. But just then, the undead king reappears, throwing the key to one side. He begins chanting a powerful spell to open the Hell Gate. As the gate forms, black liquid begins to pour out. Inside, countless glowing eyes stare from the darkness. The whole environment is shrouded in black fog. Red, demonic eyes surround them from every direction. Shardy suddenly feels a sting on her cheek. Merlin calmly explains, "This is the death fog's unique scent. Inhaling too much spreads poison through the body." The undead king laughs maniacally, summoning his master. Hovering midair, he boasts, "I shall now rule the entire world." Alice trembles at the sight. From the Hell Gate emerges an infinite legion of hell soldiers, even stronger than the Holy Tier. Even all the kingdom armies combined couldn't stop them. Merlin, completely chill, thinks to himself, "Killing the undead won't extend my life, but this fight's gonna be fun." Placing his hand on his sword, he says casually, "I haven't polished you in 100 years. Let me give you a proper demo. Time to get serious with this blade." The undead king sneers, "You ignorant mortals. None shall stand against my new power." He sends his massive Hell Legion to attack. Shadowed soldiers cloaked in black mist charge toward Merlin. Suddenly, immense fire bursts from Merlin's body as he swings his sword. Massive flames tear through the Hell Army, blasting them all into ash. The Hell Gate is completely destroyed. The dark mess fades. Alice is shocked. Is this the true strength of a demon king? Merlin boasts, "The Hell Legion wasn't even worthy of a warm-up." But deep down, he's disappointed. What a waste of souls, he thinks. If they'd nourished properly, the energy could have let me nap for years. No debts, no explosions. His mood shifts, and he enters full sad mode. Meanwhile, the undead king collapses in shock, weeping. 400 years. All my plans gone in an instant. He turns to Merlin. "Who are you?" Merlin, casually, "Just your average adventurer." Then brags, "Why am I so powerful? I just wanted to be a normal person. Why was I born this strong?" Alice, thinking, "What an arrogant idiot. He should apologize to all those who work so hard in this world." The undead king, confused, asks, "Don't you want to rule the world? You could easily have it all." Merlin, "Little brother, you think sitting on a throne is something great?" The king, "Of course. Endless wealth, beautiful women, supreme powers. Everything awaits you." Merlin grabs him. "Don't be a fool, brother. Come to your senses. I've seen it all. Listen to me. After becoming king, all the luxury and fun just becomes a dream. In reality, it's endless work, a never-ending swamp. You lose even the simple joys of life." Merlin grips his head. "Enjoying life alone? Ah, even sleeping alone became a luxury. Oh God, the struggles I've endured in life." He sighs. "That's why I gave up everything, for laziness. Instead of becoming king of monsters and fools, I chose a life where I could sleep in peace." Alice is stunned. "All hail laziness," she mutters. The undead king is shaken to his core. He can't even process that someone with this much power only wants to sleep. Sobbing, he clings to Merlin's leg. "You're not a man. You're a legend, a god. Now I understand why I failed." Then, babbling like a lunatic, he runs off. Merlin, confused, "What the hell was that?" Alice, "Maybe mental breakdown?" Later, in the carriage, Alice tries to speak, but before she can, Merlin, "No need to say thanks. Just pay me in gold coins." Alice yells, "If you'd listened and given the key to the queen, I wouldn't have been kidnapped, and you dragged me into this." A few beats later, Alice calms down and asks softly, "Why did you let the undead king go?" Merlin, "He was useless. Why waste time on lunatics?" Alice blushes. "But he did so many evil things. The kingdom should have had the chance to punish him." Merlin, chill as ever. "Then let the kingdom catch him. Your complex moral system doesn't matter to me." He pauses. "I only did it because—" Alice, "Because who, huh?" Merlin flips it. I did it because I was happy. What are you implying? That I did it for you? You admit it. Alice snaps. When did I say you saved me? They bicker like a cute couple. Shardy, half awake, mumbles. Alice, it's your fault. Alice, you're awake? Shardy, confused. Where am I? Have I been sold again as a slave? Alice calms her. You're completely safe. Shardy, what about the Hell Legion? Merlin, I saved you. Alice, reluctantly. Even if he's smelly and annoying, his tiny bit of strength did destroy the entire Hell Legion. Shardy's eyes sparkle. Big Brother is amazing. She introduces herself and asks, You're Alice's lover, right? She always talked about how you'd come save her. It's clear. You two are meant for each other. Alice, embarrassed. You're so wrong. That's not true. Merlin grins and roasts her. I can imagine you waiting and crying for me to arrive. Alice screams. It wasn't like that. The carriage suddenly stops. Alice falls right on top of Merlin. The doors open. Hom and Arnold appear excited. Merlin, did you really save Miss Alice? At the guild, everyone's celebrating. Merlin has rescued their gold medal adventurer. News spreads everywhere. The Bohemia Knights have completely destroyed the undead king's kingdom. Renato's assistant teases. Merlin worked so hard to save his wife. Then adds, ditch that dumb little Alice and go on a date with my sister instead. Alice immediately pulls Merlin away. He's not available. Merlin sighs in relief. Shardy asks, Can you both take me home? Alice smiles. Of course. I promised. Merlin, annoyed. I'm not your errand boy. I'm not doing charity work. I'm an adventurer, not a chauffeur. Besides, my clothes are worn out. Not exactly high-end. He adds, But your dear big brother is very interested in gold coins. So how much are you willing to pay? Alice, she's been through trauma. How can you think of money right now, you selfish devil? Shardy, I just want to go home. I'll pay you with my pocket money. Merlin sigh. What'll she give me? Loose change. Shardy, I only have 10 million gold coins. Not sure if that's enough. The entire guild freezes. Merlin's eyes sparkle like stars. He snaps into full drama mode. Miss, whatever you need, Merlin Knight shall be at your service. Suddenly, Celia storms in and announces, Merlin has to come with me. Alice protests, but he has to take Shardy home. Merlin, smug. A strong devil adventurer can handle 2 missions at once. Meanwhile, the mysterious man reappears, now standing beside a sea monster, dreaming of seizing the queen and lord's thrones. And the demon queen, reading a letter, sighs. What a mess. Looks like I'll have to ask Merlin for a favor. And with that, Season 1 of Lead of the Demon King comes to an end.